For the sake of everybody on this call and the importance of your time, let's get started. This will and is being recorded, so we will send this across as well to the entire network after the fact. So everybody who is maybe either delayed or was unable to join us tonight can watch on their own accord after and follow up from there. So I guess let me start by saying hello and welcome to the EyeTrust Network and an Otto webinar. I want to start, I guess, by just kind of explaining what brought upon this webinar, what we're trying to accomplish. We'll do some intros onto who is here participating in the webinar. And I want to give kind of a high-level overview of what to expect and what we're going to go through throughout the time on this call as well. So main reason we're here, EyeTrust Network's board came to us and asked what Otto could offer the ETN members who are not currently leveraging Otto. EyeTrust Network's goal is to support the members and to drive value, and that is directly aligned with us and Otto and what our mission is as well too. So we came up with an exclusive EyeTrust Network promotion that we're offering to all ETN members who are not currently utilizing Otto. So if you are an existing Otto member, thank you for your support. Feel free to stick around, hopefully gain some insights. But this promotion specifically is only available to non-Otto members. So I just want to make that clear, point that out to start. Let's dive into some introductions. So I'm Dylan Cunningham. I'm the head of growth for Otto. I'm going to be your facilitator, if you will, today for this webinar. And I'm joined from the Otto team, my wonderfully amazing colleague, Alexa. She is going to be doing a demo for us, giving us kind of a high-level overview of what Otto is and some of the features, and as well as here to help answer some of the questions that we may have. And from EyeTrust Network, we have Cassandra Chun. So a little intro on Cassandra. Cassandra received her Doctor of Optometry degree from the University of Waterloo in 2013 and has been practicing in the GTA area ever since. She is one of your trusted EyeTrust Network board members and manages 9 optometric practices, all of which currently use Otto. So thank you for joining me, Alexa and Cassandra. All right, in this webinar, we're going to quickly kind of review the promotion details. You guys would have received that information from an email from EyeTrust Network as well as from us, but we'll review that really quick. We'll gain some Otto insights and the impact it has had for Cassandra and her 9 practices. Alexa, again, then we'll pass it over to her. We'll do a quick overview and demo with her. And then we have some dedicated time at the end for question and answers. So again, if anybody missed it, as we're going along here, please feel free to put any questions that you guys have into the chat. And we'll make sure that when we have that dedicated time, we'll go through them one by one and answer them all for us. So first, the promotion. Again, you guys would have seen this in emails that were sent out before. But we are offering any non-Otto member a free 3-month trial of Otto. What we're trying to do here is we want all practices to get the opportunity to experience Otto completely risk-free. Okay, we also offer all ETN members exclusive pricing beyond the first few free months. So we provide a 25% exclusive monthly discount, which equates to $135 a month on the annual plan. Cancel anytime, no contracts. So again, I just want to thank EyeTrust Network, Cassandra Chun and the board for this collaboration. As empowering and supporting the independent practices is our aligned goals. So that was a lot of me talking. So without further ado, let's bring in Cassandra Chun. I guess before I ask you some of the questions or some of the few questions that I want to ask you specifically, is there anything that I missed or that you want to mention before I start to fire away?
No, that sounded great.
Perfect. All right, well, let's dive right into some questions. So I guess first and foremost, Cassandra, what was it that attracted you to Otto initially?
So we joined you guys a long time ago in 2021. Otto was really different at that time than it is now, but I still was interested by it. I mean, there's no question that the internet has had a huge impact on our industry, especially like independent optometry, right? Before, patients had to buy their contact lenses from us, and now they don't have to ever, really. They can even just go to Costco and get it there. There's so many other options than there were before. And there are a lot of options even before Otto that helps independents try to compete. And our offices tried a few of those as well. But what really piqued my interest about Otto is that it streamlined the contact lens process inside our office, which all of the other options in 2021 when we joined you guys were mostly centered around e-commerce, right? It wasn't really tackling the, I guess, like operational roadblocks that we were facing regarding contact lens orders. And the biggest thing for me was the drip marketing. So what I mean by that is that Otto is able to constantly reach out to your patients for you in like an automated fashion. Our staff don't actually do any of the reaching out. And that was a big one because we know for sure that if I'm in and I can sell contacts and my staff are in and they can sell contacts, I know that I can have my patient buy contact lenses that day. But what about when they run out in 3 months or 6 months, right? And of course, we always want to promote annual supplies, but realistically, most of our patients don't buy annual supplies. And, the way that things cost these days, it's probably even less than it was before, right? So having that way to connect with our patients, contact our patients was really like the biggest factor for me to join Otto.
That's awesome. There's a lot to unpack there. I guess a few things that I want to take away from that though is that you mentioned kind of where the industry was changing, where there is more options available. Going online, was never before kind of a threat, and it became a significant threat very quickly. Otto's entire mission is to really empower again the independent practice owner, like I mentioned before, and really kind of help combat that big online retailers and keep those contact lenses in-house and that recapture rate beyond just contact lenses as well in-house, and keep your patients. But you mentioned a couple other things too. So there are three significant value propositions that we try and aim for to give to each practice that leverages Otto, and you kind of touched on each one. So one is to minimize the time investment from the practice operational standpoint. So just ordering the contacts, managing the contacts, doing some of that outbound reach, again, that type of stuff. You mentioned that. Increased revenue is our main value proposition, and what makes Otto very black and white. Are you getting X amount of sales compared to what you are paying for Otto? And there's lots of ways to do that. And then I think one of the things that's most important that you mentioned, a few times throughout is really that patient journey, and making sure that we're providing kind of that best patient experience possible. So I appreciate and like that answer a lot, because you kind of hit on all three of the value propositions that we really try and aim for, and did it in a really cohesive, nice way. So next question I have for you is, you implemented Otto in 2021. We talked high level, some of the value that you see and why you were interested in Otto, but what was the results specifically after you introduced Otto into your practice?
I mean, of course there is, it's easier for our staff to create orders and follow up. And it's great, to have an easy way to reach out to our patients to let them know their contacts are ready for pickup and all those little things. But the big thing is always going to be the juice, right? So I operate 9 practices. They range in size. My big practice, before Otto, we were doing about $360,000 worth of contact lenses a year. My small office is doing $9,700 worth of contact lenses a year. So it's like a huge difference, right? That was a cold start. So, and we had opened that year or the previous year, something like that. So really like peanuts, relatively speaking, right? And then in the middle, we kind of have everything in between. I selected a medium-sized office to, as an example, that's $73,000 a year. So we have really big differences in the contact lens business of each of these practices. So that would be like the annual contact lens gross it before we started Otto, or actually that number actually includes like from September 8th to September 30th that we did what we're using Otto already. The following year, so the exact calendar year matching that, I grew over 30% at all of those locations. So at our big office, actually, we grew 46.12%, which is like, that's a lot, right? So that year we did $530,000 worth of sales just in contact lenses. So it's a huge jump, right? And Otto took up uh pretty much half of that, like $250,000 was sales that we put through Otto. So definitely huge impact just in one year. The other two offices grew by like 34% and 35% respectively. The following year after that, which would be the previous fiscal year to right now, so October 1st, 2022 to September 30th, 2023. I didn't calculate it for this last year. I guess I could have just left out those last numbers, but in 2023 year, we grew 20% at the big office, 70% at my small office. Obviously, there's room for growth, not just because of Otto, but just because we're growing the practice. And 6% at the medium office. So things are definitely starting to level out, but there's definitely growth ongoing, regardless of how you look at it.
Oh, that's amazing. I appreciate that. And I love that you talked about the differences in the practice size and the contact lenses that you generate through, because I do think that can be a misconception when we talk about a software that's specifically, and I mean, there's more to beyond just contacts, and we'll get into that. But when we focus on contact lens sales and recapture rates, I think there is a little bit of a nuance of, if I don't put through too many contacts or sell too many contacts, is this worth it? Does it justify? But I think those numbers blatantly justify the cost of $135 a month. So your return on investment from what you're getting, just from a black and white standpoint in terms of dollars in, not including the other value that we can't necessarily quantify, like patient experience, more than obviously justifies the cost. So I appreciate you kind of giving us some insights from a variance of your practices there.
So just to give you like a dollar's value so that it's more salient, in my small office, in the year before we introduced Otto, we did $9,700 worth of contact lens business. The year after that, we did 13,000, and then the year after that, we did 22,000. So these are significant jumps, right? Even, and given that we started at such a small number, so whether or not you're at the beginning of your practice growth or late in your practice growth, I think there's definitely room. Like, my big practice that we've been churning out contacts for years, like we're used to doing contacts there, right? But we still were able to see like a 40% growth in the first year. That's insane.
Is incredible. It really is. And again, that's just contact lens sales, not some of the value that we can't quantify. Every time that, your patients continue to buy from you is, you retaining a patient as well too. You may have retained that patient, you may have lost that patient. So keeping them kind of in your house and buying and keeping that cycle within your practice, there's a lot of added value and benefit to that. And I mentioned kind of the three value propositions that we have. And my next three questions are going to be based around that. It is drive revenue. So from the owner perspective, from your perspective, you really hit on, the meat and potatoes of what's important and the dollars, right? It all comes down to that, like you said. But I'm still going to ask this question anyways. Aside from that, what do you like and or appreciate most about Otto?
So I would say that my main focus in running our practices is operational efficiency. And Otto just makes things easier for my staff. So if you don't use something like Otto, you need to, like, the doctor writes a prescription, you create a contact lens order, and then you have to um, like go into that contact lens portal and order the contacts. There's like a million steps, right? And there's a million logins. And that is like, that's complicated for other reasons, like password keeping and all this other stuff, right? So the fact that you have one portal to manage all of your contact lens orders is super handy. I mentioned the drip marketing too. That is definitely like a key feature for me, because I know I can have my patient buy when they're in front of me, but I can't guarantee that they will when they're not in front of me. And then I think the other thing is really opportunity. So when before we use something like Otto, we were very focused on making sure that our patient is able to purchase that day, because that's when we have their attention, right? And it takes a lot of manpower for me to, for example, have a staff that like calls the patient and say, hey, you know what, it's time for your you should be running out of contacts now, do you want to purchase again, right? It's not, it's just, it for us it just wasn't feasible to do that type of legwork, and really the juice wasn't worth the squeeze, right? The payroll hours I was paying for alone just for that staff to do that isn't worth the capture, because they're probably not capturing many patients over the phone or by email, right? So the automation factor for this type of communication through Otto, I think, was the really big one, and giving us the opportunity to, I guess, continuously uh, reach out to our patients, regardless of whether or not they purchased from us the day that they had their appointment. And keeping, all of our patients lined up in Otto with the correct prescriptions and everything, so that when that patient was ready and they made their purchase, it was totally hands off from my team.
Amazing. And for those that aren't super familiar with Otto, obviously we're going to go through the demo. So you're going to see a lot of these features that we're kind of alluding to, and experience kind of what the patient experience looks like. Because I do think that that's important. I think, yeah, making a phone call and saying, you might be due for some more contacts is a very different experience than the experience that Otto provides. So not only is it, a waste of, I guess, the energy and input and resources that you have, but it's just not facilitating the results that we want out of that as well too. So you mentioned at the start operational efficiency. That's definitely one thing that we try and lean into and really promote as a proponent of Otto. That's what you care about from an owner standpoint. What do you think? And maybe it's the same answer, but what do you think your staff, who touches, feels, and operates within Otto every single day, what do you think they like most about Otto?
I mean, the centralized management is huge, right? Like not having to log into four different portals and have four different tabs open. It just simplifies their life. Even, getting the confirmation numbers through Otto, or back order statuses and things like that are, but they don't have to log into the site. I think that's pretty straightforward. The fact that we can register patients and their prescriptions in Otto is really nice, because it just keeps everything very organized. Yeah, I would say that from my staff, and of course, well, I mean, my staff, they are bonus on their sales, essentially their productivity. So we have sales targets. If they reach those sales targets, then they get a bonus. And if they're making more sales, especially when they're making sales in their sleep, then they like that, because it brings them closer to their bonus.
That's amazing. That makes a lot of sense too. And I'm excited, I guess, to showcase. There are a couple sales tools within Otto that Alexa will go over. But yes, I imagine that your staff utilizes and leverages those features all the time, as much as they possibly can, especially if they're bonus based on that too. So I guess lastly, perspective wise, we talked about you from the ownership perspective. We've talked about your staff perspective, who deal with this every single day. And we've alluded to a lot of the pros from the patient side. But from your perspective, thinking about the perspective of a patient, what do you think they like most or enjoy most about having you guys utilizing Otto on your side?
So when we joined Otto in 2021, it actually wasn't the same as it is now. Like the features now are way more robust from the patient experience side, in my opinion. But the way that Otto houses the patient's prescription information is such that when the patient clicks on the link that gets sent to them by email and SMS, they are led to our e-commerce website through Otto that is like pre-populated with their products, right? So this is nice because they don't have to like search through the catalog and find their product. It's just there. And my staff always tell them as well, like, don't worry, your prescription's already in there. You don't need to worry about that. So they know that when they open up, they're like, oh yeah, my lens is here. Oh yeah, they told me that my prescription's in there. I don't need to worry about anything. I'm trusting, like I can trust that they, put all this in there. That's why this is a personalized link for me. Right. So I think that part of the patient experience is great. Since you guys integrated eye drop ship, we also actually put nutraceutical prescriptions into there so they can see what nutraceuticals that the doctor recommended for them. Hopefully, they were able to pick up those drops on the day of their appointment. But realistically, lots of my patients take a picture of the lenses, the drops that I recommend them, or like write the name down or something like that. And now I'm able to say, oh, don't worry, my staff is going to send you a link, and then you'll be able to see everything I prescribe for you. So it just kind of reinforces the initial conversation that I had with my patient, which, that's always going to improve patient care.
I love that. There's a couple of things, I guess, that I want to touch on based on that answer. So number one, it sounds like, again, you guys really leverage Otto as a sales tool, and you're utilizing it and leveraging it in the proper ways. So just setting the expectation for patients that they will receive a personalized link, that everything's baked in there, that they can order directly from that link within 2 clicks. In the sales world, when you match expectation versus reality, that's when trust is built inherently, and that's when people will follow through and click those links from their phone and put that credit card in. You're right, they're not hit with a wall, they're hit with their product front and center. If that's what they're expecting and they get it at a time when they need it, it is far more likely that they're going to follow through and make that purchase. And then you mentioned at the start that where Otto is today is not where it was when you started. I think that's really important to mention. I just want to touch on that really briefly again. We are a very innovative company, and it's all about the independent practices, right? It's about you, it's about the owners. That to us is what we're trying to empower. That's who we're trying to help. That's what we're trying to promote here. So, we're constantly listening to our members in trying to enhance the Otto effect in any way that we possibly can. So, what you saw in 2021 is not what you see today, and what you see today is not what you'll see in a couple of years from now as well too. It's constant innovation from us, and it's very, very important. So I'm glad that you mentioned that as well too. Do you have any final thoughts or comments before we pass things off to Alexa and dive into a demo?
I I think that like one thing that I wanted to be clear about is that one of the value propositions of Otto is that you guys uh, help productivity, right? And reduce workload essentially. And I would say that definitely that's the case. But when your sales are growing by 35% in a year, that doesn't mean less work. So, of course, those orders got to get processed, right? Now, yes, a lot of those orders get processed automatically, but some of them don't, right? You guys obviously have stops in your system that help to ensure that in the situation that it can be automated, it can, but in the situation that it cannot, because you need some further information about a prescription or otherwise, then our staff have to actually tend to it, which is good. We don't want those things just automatically happening, right? So I would say that because our sales increase, our work increase, and also Otto offers us really unique opportunities to connect with our patients. So in the past, when my staff maybe would have been spending time on administrative tasks like ordering contact lenses through the portals, like the individual portals, now they are spending time inputting contact lens prescriptions and nutraceutical prescriptions for all of our patients, not just patients who purchase, so that we can continuously market to them, right? I would say that, it's not like it's a lot of work, but I don't think actually that we are doing less work than we did before, but we are generating way more revenues.
Yeah, yeah, very good point. And again, one of the value props is to save you time. I guess operationally speaking, from the ordering the contact lenses, yes, but let's hope that just like your case, overall, it's not saving time because it is generating more opportunities. It is generating more sales. And that just, I guess, takes our time and resources that we're spending and puts it in an area of value, puts it in the areas that we want as the business owners and as practice owners, is to chase these opportunities to get these additional sales. So I don't apologize for the additional work, I guess, that you and your staff have had to do if it's all positive towards generating more sales. Hey, thank you, Dr. Cassandra Chun. I really appreciate that. Really detailed answers. And again, you've just been such an Otto advocate from the start and a big reason of why we're all here today. So I'm just very, very grateful for you and your time and everybody within the EyeTrust Network team. So next segment, I'm going to pass this over to Alexa. She will do a demo for us on Otto. Again, if anybody has questions as we go, please just put them into the chat. And then after the demo, we'll have some time for question and answer period. So without further ado, over to you, Alexa.
Awesome. Thank you, Dylan. All right. So Dylan and Dr. Zhang have already gone through how Otto is going to save you time and boost your revenue and improve your patient experience. But now let's take a closer look at what that actually is going to look like for you guys. So I'm just going to share my screen here. Alrighty, you guys can see that okay? Beautiful. Alrighty, so we're just going to walk through a couple of really common everyday scenarios so you guys can see firsthand how Otto works. So right now, what we're looking at is the back office platform of Otto. So this is where you and your staff are going to manage your contact lens orders, not yet what patients are going to experience. So with Otto, we have integrated with all of the contact lens suppliers directly. So what that means is whether your contact lens orders are coming from in-store or online, you're going to be facilitating all of your orders through Otto. So let's start with doing that. So in this scenario, we're going to say that patient came in for an eye exam, bought 6 months of contact lenses, paid for it as they were cashing out for their exam, and now they've gone home. So instead of you opening up, say, J&J, you're going to open up Otto. So I'm going to use Cassandra as an example here. So I just enter in first, last, and a piece of contact information. Patient is now created. You can ship it to the patient directly, or they can pick it up in the office, whatever you guys had agreed upon. And then Otto is preloaded with all of your contact lenses, and that includes trials as well. So you just type in the name of the lens that you're needing to order. They'll throw in the prescription values. And then Otto is loaded with a whole bunch of shortcuts. So for quantity, you can select the supply level, and that's automatically going to throw in your quantity. And then based on the quantity you have selected, Otto is going to automatically populate any applicable rebates for you guys here. And you'll see how that comes through for the patient in a minute. And then also based on the quantity that we have selected, Otto is going to automatically set up a refill reminder to go out to the patient when they're going to need it. So this is why we are submitting all of our orders through Otto, because not only are we putting in today's order, but we're also going to be gearing up to capture that next one. And this really is the secret sauce, so to speak, of Otto. And then this guy here is essentially your expiration date. This is going to put a stop date on the patient's automatic ordering. And it's also going to send them out a message in advance of the expiration, prompting them to contact you guys and book a new eye exam. So it just helps you to keep a little bit of a tether on them there. And then that's it. So because we said this was an in-office order, we can assume payment would have already been processed in store. So no need to do that in Otto. We process the order and your job is done. So that is automatically going to create a purchase order to be sent to the supplier. And then it is also going to send a text message to the patient. So I am going to pull that up here so nobody is left in the dark. All right, so we are going to come here and patient is going to get a message saying that their order has been processed. And then because patient qualified for a rebate, that information is being included as well. So this is completely automating your rebate experience and replacing your need to put that care pad from the supplier into the patient's hands. So what we have seen so far is that orders are being centralized to one easy to use platform. But where the most significant benefit of Otto comes into play is going to be a few months down the road. So we'll pretend that we are 6 months into the future and that Cassandra is on the tail end supply of her contacts. And then she is automatically going to get a message. So that message isn't anything too salesy or pushy. It's just saying, hey, we think you're probably running out of your contacts, and here's a link that you can use when you're ready. And then patient is going to open up that link and they're taken to a completely customized ordering screen where the only thing they see is their product with the prescription baked right into the background. So they don't have to remember they're running out of contacts. They don't have to remember to go to your store. They don't have to remember the contacts that they're wearing that they usually don't. We're going to do all the work for them and make their lives as easy as possible. And then they scroll down and they're going to see all of your pricing broken down by supply level. So this includes any multi-box discounts as well as any rebates. So the patients can really see where those savings would kick in and helps to incentivize the larger orders. We also have the option to do an auto reorder if your patients are interested, which is essentially like a subscription model. Quick reorder automatically adds product to the cart and takes them to the checkout. And then patient just has to enter in their payment information here. And they are set. Patient clicks place order. And then because we authorize that prescription the first time around in office, and because the prescription has not yet expired, we know that this order is good to be sent straight to the supplier for fulfillment. So all at once, patient's going to have this really seamless ordering experience. They're able to order any time of day, and the invoice is going to be sent to them directly. And then in office, you guys have now captured a sale without having to do anything. You're going to get an email notifying you that that order was placed, and then the proceeds are going to be deposited straight into the clinic's bank account. Also, really important to note that Otto is branded completely to your office. So anywhere that you are seeing Telescope, you see our logo here, and then also in the text messaging, that is instead going to be your logo, name of your clinic, and your phone number. So as far as your patients are concerned, you're just offering online ordering, and they don't need to know who Otto is. Also important to note that at no point in time did Dr. Chung need to create an account. So we have streamlined this process as much as possible. So anything that might make the patient put their phone back in their pocket or say, I'll do this later, we have done our best to streamline that and remove any of those hurdles. And then in addition to being that refill reorder engine, we are also a full web store. So this really is a turnkey solution for you guys. You have all of your contact lenses that your patients can come and browse. But we also have a couple of different integrations allowing you to sell over-the-counter dry eye products that can be directly fulfilled from our distributor as well as a couple of different suppliers. And this is going to allow you to sell as many products as you would like. But one, you can offer product over and above what you inventory. Two, lets you put product into patients' hands without you being the one responsible for packing it and shipping it to them. And third, you no longer have to manage that inventory, those expiration dates, and all of that stuff. And then with these over-the-counter products, you're also able to benefit from those fantastic refill reminders so that we can get this product into the patient's hands again, just like we can with the contact lenses. All right, now let's pop back to the portal. So there are a couple of features that I want to show you guys. And first one is this send order link. So you saw what it looked like when you got an ordering link because it was time for you to reorder. But as you can imagine, there's going to be other points and times that you want to put a link into the patient's hands. We assign the patient, and then because we already told Otto that Dr. Chung is wearing an Oasis, it's going to default to that, but easy to change it if needed. And then we can also assign additional products like those over-the-counters. So tons of different scenarios that you would use this feature. Maybe a patient is walking out without buying. Maybe they have called and asked for their contact lens prescription or what the last product they bought was. So you can send them a link for them to access that really easily. You can assign as many products as you would like, create a curated cart for them. You could add discounts and insurance to take amounts off their total. We've got pre-written messages here to make getting the most appropriate message into their hands as easy as possible. And then we also have the ability to schedule when these links are going to be sent out. And I think this is probably my favorite feature of Otto because I have implemented it in office firsthand and seen crazy results. So this is fantastic. Anytime you're sending patient home with trials, instead of having to call them after the fact, you assign the product you're sending them home with, click trial follow-up, schedule the day you want it to go to them, send later, and your job is done. So this is a great way, again, to put links into their hands when they are not in office. And then that link is going to look pretty similar, or that text message rather, going to look pretty similar to the first ones. So never anything too pushy, just nice and simple for the patient to be able to find that. And then the last main feature that I want to show you guys is our lens quote. So lens quote goes hand in hand with the ordering link. And you're obviously already quoting your patients for product for contact lenses. Maybe you are just like cross-referencing your EMR and writing it down on a sticky note. Or maybe you have a little chart that someone in your office works really hard on keeping it updated. But this is going to allow you to do that in a matter of seconds instead. So we assign the patient, we assign a product, you select the most appropriate rebate, discounts, insurance. You can add a custom message to help you tip the scales. And then we also have the ability to show competitor pricing. So competitor pricing is always going to pull from Clearly, and it scans their system every day, so you never have to worry about whether or not that's accurate. So that took us about 30 seconds to put together. And now we are able to produce this cohesive little one-pager that's branded to your clinic with your logo and coloring for the patient, and then breaks everything down by supply level for you here. And this per box pricing is including any multi-box discounts as well as your rebates. So you can paint a very clear picture for the patient as to how competitive your pricing is. And then because we chose to include competitor pricing, you're able to clearly show your patients how competitive you are before they go and make the assumptions that online is cheaper. Ideally, patients are going to be ready to buy day of, but if not, you're going to print this off for them, send them home with it, and let them know that they can scan this QR code here anytime that they're ready. And then to really make sure that we are giving them all of the convenience they could be looking for, when we pop back to the Otto portal, the order link that we were looking at up here is duplicated within the quote and already filled out based on that information. So in just 2 extra clicks, we now have that link in the patient's inbox, as well as that quote in their hand. So those are the main features of Otto. Again, we've got integrated ordering all in one place. You've got your web store, order links, quotes, and honestly, a ton of other features. You can send patients pickup messages. You can send, you can do your reports. And you know what? I'm going to let you guys in on one other secret before I call it quits. Okay, so one thing that I am obsessed with, and I think the reason I'm so obsessed with it is because I have been the person in clinic responsible for updating these prices in my past life. So in Otto, when you come into your products catalog, you're going to see your pricing, but you're also going to see the competition pricing. And like I mentioned before, competition pricing is pulling from Clearly on a daily basis. So instead of you having 100 tabs open and going back and forth and trying to figure out how you guys compete and how to stay competitive, we put that in the portal directly. And then you'll also see we have these little colored dots so that you're able to easily identify when your pricing is more than 10% above the recommended. So you just scroll through, and anytime you see those yellow or red dots, you can slow down and pay attention to those. But this will take your pricing updates from multiple days to an hour. So this is a really great feature. But I think I'm gonna leave it to that today. But like I mentioned, there are a ton of other features. So we'll just have to go over that when you book your demo with me, when we get you guys set up with Otto. That being said, I will pass it back over to you, Dylan.
Thanks, Alexa. Yeah, it's a little bit different doing a demo in front of multiple people where there is no back and forth. But you did an excellent job there. There again, there's more to it than what was shown. But tried to give you guys a very high level, but also a detailed kind of overview of Otto and some of the features. And I hope as she was going through, that helped paint the picture of the conversation between Dr. Cassandra Chun and myself, and some of the benefits that she receives. As well as I hope a main takeaway is that looked simple. I hope it looks simple for both you as a practice and dealing with it internally, and also from the patient experience. Simplicity is really what we're after here. And, if we create a convenient outlet for patients to buy, if our pricing is aligned with that is online, which Alexa just gave us some insights, which I think is really awesome as well too, loyalty will win out every single time. So the process has got to be simple for you guys using it operationally, and the process has to be simple for the patients to actually go through and purchase the contacts as well too. I did mention at the start that this is a promotion that is only applicable to non-Otto members currently within the EyeTrust Network. So that means that there are some current members that are with Otto, and I just want to quickly showcase some of the data aggregated from all of the current Otto members that are part of ETN. So I pulled this late last week. So this is up to date, and I will just explain this really quickly for you guys. So you can see my screen there. So I just have a few pieces of data that I want to showcase. So number one, we have 43 current ETN members that are Otto members and leverage Otto every single day. So a significant portion of the network. What's most important, again, we talked about it before, it's the dollars, it's the bread and butter, it's what you're earning. It's, I'm paying X and I need to be getting Y. So what I did was I pulled the data from, again, all ETN member clinics and pulled their average monthly online sales. So what this number represents is any sales that were attributed to refill reminders that went out that we saw, online orders, anything that comes in from the order links that are sent, and the lens quotes as well too. So we like to call that auto generated revenue. And this is the average monthly sales that was created from those avenues. So you can see throughout, the average of over almost $5,400 was pretty remarkable and substantial. And I wanted to showcase this because, again, this is people that are, directly in your neck of the woods, that are part of the same network that you're part of. And these are the definitive results and numbers that they are currently seeing. So, we took this number, took a 40% margin on the products being sold, and basically figured out, okay, if they're paying $135 a month, what is their average estimated ROI? That's what it all boils down to in the end. And they're almost at 1,500% average ROI. So I thought those numbers were pretty substantial. And again, really just paint the picture on what current members are attributing from Otto as it stands today. So pulled late last week. So I just wanted to showcase that really quick. Other than that, I don't see any messages in the chat, or any questions, in the chat. So if anybody does have any questions beyond this, what we're going to do is we will send this recording. We will send a follow-up email. You can book demos directly from there to take advantage of the promotion. And of course, if you have any questions within that, please let us know. Whether it's Alexa or myself, it doesn't matter. We're here to help and support you. So I guess in closing, I just want to thank everybody for their time. I know on a Monday evening, after a long day of work, it's not easy to sit down for a webinar, but I really appreciate everybody that did join and took the time. EyeTrust Network, and again, Dr. Chun, thank you so much for the support along the way, and dedicating some time for this as well too. I think it's important for your network to kind of hear it from your guys' perspective as well too, not just Otto's perspective. So I'm very, very grateful for that time, and I hope to hear from everybody soon. But like I say, we'll send a follow-up here tomorrow, and you guys can reach out from there. So thanks, everyone.
Dylan, I
Thanks,
think a few
guys.
people did raise their hand during the meeting, so I don't know if they can, I'm not sure if people are aware how to use the chat.
I'm wondering, hey, there's a hand right there.
The other thing I wanted to mention with your numbers, so it's like $5,000 a month. That's $60,000 a year, which is a person.
That's right.
That's a person. That's
Right.
like a huge payroll expense right there.
It's a great way to look at it.
Yeah.
There is a hand up. Is the chat feature not working for you guys? Are you unavailable to put that in?
It's just at the bottom right. There's like a little chat icon. Or we could just put everybody into contributor. That would be another option.
I'm assuming the thumbs down means it's not working.
Yeah. But it's I couldn't see who did the thumbs down.
There we
See,
go.
okay, Mayor. Do you want to make him a contributor?
Should be able to join now. If you take mute off, you should be able to talk, as you are joined with us on the main screen now.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, Mayor.
Yes.
Okay. I was dying at the other end and nobody could hear me.
Sorry.
You couldn't send a message. That was the thing. I don't know. I couldn't anyway. I don't know if anyone else could. So anyway,
Interesting. Thanks for hanging in there. And if anybody else has
Yeah, no
questions, raise your hand and we'll do this. We'll do the same thing. But take it away.
Yeah. So my question was, this looks very impressive. In terms of training, who does so is it Alexa that does the training? Okay.
I'm your girl.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
great. And so is it one training session, or is there multiple training sessions, or how does that work?
Yeah, good question. So we typically do one training session, but that being said, we have a ton of pre-recorded videos. So we have like a full walkthrough, and then we also have, I think, like 6 or 7 little pre-recorded videos that hit on placing an order, lens quote, order links, all of those various things. So those are fantastic resources for you and your staff. But that being said, there's no limit on the training. So if you need us, we're here for you.
And then, so I have a bunch of questions. So
yeah, go for it. Lay them out.
The second one is, so when someone places an order, and we see, okay, the order went through. Is there any kind of message or feedback that we get once the order has been either received at the contact lens company or that the supply has been shipped from the contact lens company to the patient?
So you won't get a message directly, but that
Mhm.
is something that you'll be able to see in the Otto portal. So
Mhm.
you'll be able to see once the order has been sent off, you'll see that the status changes indicating that. And then once they have received the order, you'll see the confirmation number in Otto. Once they've shipped it, you'll be able to see the tracking number in Otto. So you'll be able to see it all from the one place instead of having to cross-reference your portals for the information.
Right. And then so what's the time? What's that turnaround time typically? What drives that? Is that more the contact lens company, or is it just the system itself?
Yeah, so we are directly integrated with the supplier systems. So
Mhm.
you should not see any delay in ordering through Otto. We have our orders batching once a day by default to help save you guys on shipping, but that's done at a strategic time so that everything is processed daily. So you should have the same turnaround times as you're used to ordering from the supplier portals for.
Okay. And then so a lot of times patients will buy 3 months. So say they're a first time wearer, oh, I just want to buy 3 months, and because they're not sure how often they're going to wear it. Maybe they think they're going to wear it not that much, but then they like wearing them and they want to wear it more often. And so then they, potentially want to buy a larger supply. So when they have a 3 month supply, and say they had an initial 3 month supply, when they get that reminder at 3 months, does it offer them, so they have all three options available to them, the
They
three
will.
6 months? Or
That's correct.
okay.
Yes, they will
I
have
just
the
want to
full supply.
I wanted to clarify one thing, Mayor, that I kind of like recently discovered
Mm-hmm.
from Otto, even though it's been a feature for a while, apparently, but I actually just didn't know about it myself. When you create the initial order, you can indicate how often your patient wears their lenses. So if my patient is an infrequent wearer, I would also specify as part of my prescription to my staff that they're like a 3 day a week wearer.
Mm-hmm.
And then they can actually put that into the order, and that will help to more accurately predict the refill time.
So do you put who determines that refill time? Is that you? Would you put that in there?
So,
Your
so
staff?
I put it as a part of my contact lens prescription.
Okay. And then
Yeah,
the
so that
staff determines.
yeah,
Okay.
and the
Okay.
staff know to put that into the like into their auto prescription.
Right. Right. Okay. Yeah, because I think because you just want to get I think one of the things that I see here is if someone's doing a 3 month supply, then they're always doing a 3 month supply. Maybe they could be doing an annual supply. But I think the way that you have it written there and you've highlighted the discounts, I think that's a good feature. It's a great feature, actually.
And then I just wanted to show you what Dr. Chung was talking about.
Yeah.
So I passed by this when doing the demo, but yeah, if this patient only wears 5 days a week, you click 5 days a week and it'll automatically do that calculation for you.
Okay. Yeah, so the weekend wear would be almost an annual reminder then. Yeah.
You got it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You have any other questions?
No, I think that's it. You just don't want to have somebody order it and then not have. I just wanted to make sure there was enough safeguards in there so the person doesn't order it and then 2 weeks later, where are my contacts? And then
Absolutely.
at least we have, if there's a dashboard or something where we can kind of look at it, and then that's.
So, Mayor, there is
that's important.
still like a amount of like work that my staff have to do
Yeah.
to ensure that the orders are getting processed, right?
Mhm.
So historically we would go into the website, like find the tracking information,
Mhm.
all that stuff. So
Mhm.
Otto provides the confirmation number. So like the J&J order number, not your purchase order number,
Mhm.
and the tracking number, right, Alexa, you said? So you my staff still like have to go and find that information. It's not like we get a prompt and have to go copy that tracking number, put it into like FedEx or ICS or Canada Post or whatever, and get the tracking information. So this is really important for your direct to ship patients. So I actually have a staff that like ensures that all of the direct to ship actually ended up at the patient's house, because sometimes there's like, unable to deliver or whatever it is. That's still like manual work that we have to do to ensure that the package got there safely. And then once, so in Otto, you can like filter all the different types of orders. So they'll filter by direct to ship only, go through that process. And then only once we are sure that the patient received the product, then we close that order.
Do you do that on every direct to ship order, like follow up on those, or is it just ones where you get the, okay.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
like
you'd have
just,
to do it anyway, regardless of whether you're using Otto or if you're doing it in office
yeah.
anyway, that's just something that you'd have to do. But
Well, you don't have to. You could just like trust the
you can not do
shipping
it, but then you
companies,
can
but
run into problems.
yeah, exactly. Like ideally, we reach out to our customer before they reach out to us,
Yeah.
right? So that's really all that's about.
Okay. How so if you get an order for a drop ship patient, so so after how long would you sort of follow up on that? Like a week or like the
Yeah, so every week my staff are going through all the tracking.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know the frequency just because it's that's important to know.
I think you can also just
It's
have
reasonable.
like a person that's part of their daily responsibilities, maybe, right? But I think like once a week is a good amount. Depends on like how frequently you're ordering lenses. Because you don't want to like be rechecking the same one like every single day, right?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
That being said,
Even once a month, I think is adequate.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
You're good. You're good. I was just gonna say, that being said, that's because Dr. Chung is thorough and fantastic and on top of everything. But Otto also, yeah, I got you. Otto is also, or what our default setting is, that any ship to patient orders will automatically mark as complete in Otto. So what that's doing is it's allowing you to not have to go in and manually close all those orders. So Dr. Chung would be checking that if she was placing it like before Otto, when she was placing it on supplier portal directly. And then now that's something that she still does with Otto to make sure that everything is 110%. But you don't have to do that to be able to use Otto. We have designed it to be automated as well, but you can also go through and make sure you've dotted all of your I's and crossed all your T's. So it really is designed to mimic however you're practicing right now and allow you to put all of those things into play to make sure you have those same safeguards in place.
Okay. Okay, great. Thanks.
Anybody else have any questions for us?
If so, please raise your hand and I will invite you in as a contributor. Right. All right, you should be able to talk as soon as you unmute yourself.
It's Mamie. Can you hear me? Okay. Hi, everyone. Okay, so I am an existing Otto customer. We love the system. It's great, everything you presented. We agree, it's just so much easier with Otto. The one question that I do have, though, is we've noticed that when we get the invoices from the suppliers like B&L, we don't see the patient's name on the invoice. Is that something that can be kind of maybe looked into?
So absolutely, that is something that our friends at B&L need to make sure that they are also associating with that. So I very much appreciate that feedback. Yes, we will follow up on that. If you are ever not seeing information in Otto, it means that it wasn't provided to us from the supplier. And then obviously with that as well, separately outside of the platform. But yes, we will make sure to mention that and see if those things can get copied over. And it also never hurts for you to let your rep know that you're experiencing that too. And both sides is never a bad thing.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that.
So, Mamie, I've noticed that I don't know why they do this, but like BNL combines the patient name with the order number. So it's like order 00135 Mamie Leong. It's
Mhm.
like, yeah, so in your itemized list, your statement where you have like your itemized invoice with all the orders, you might see it like as a part of the order number. But I know that's like very annoying.
Okay, thank you. I just want to just kind of ask that as a question, but thank you for answering it though. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you. And thank you for the love as well as a current user. We appreciate that.
Yes.
Okay, so my name is Arif. I wanted to ask you guys a question. So regarding these orders, do they show up on the B2B with Bosch and Lomb? So they're connected directly there. So we can even look up the order there to see if it's been shipped.
That's correct. So you'll see the information in Otto, but
Mhm.
that information will also be found on the supplier ports.
Okay, so that was kind of to answer Mimi's question. But my other question is, in the demo, you were showing an online store. What does that mean?
So that can embed directly into your website. So you're able to offer that full online web store to your patients.
So is that, so unlike optometrist office, we're an optical, so we actually get prescriptions from other optometrists. So we more likely fill those than from our own in-house office, right? So are those things that they can actually enter the prescription in? Is that how it works? Is it like a Clearly site in basically, I guess?
So we've got a couple of options. What our default options are for the patient to either upload a copy of their prescription, or they can simply say that they are an existing patient. And if that's the case, you would reference your existing prescription that's on file for them. However, if you want to give them the option to be able to select their actual prescription values themselves, then that is something that we can turn on for you. But by default, it's either uploading a document that you would then review and then you enter in the final value, or them just saying that they're an existing patient. But that being said, even when they enter in the values themselves, you're still going to have that oversight before the order is sent to the supplier and before their credit card is actually charged, just to make sure that everything is 110%.
Okay. Are you integrated with any other POS softwares like EMRs or?
So right now for EMRs, we have an integration with Visualize, and that is our first integration so far, but more are definitely to come down the line.
Yeah. Question for Dr. Chung, Cassandra, I guess. Since you guys are competing with Clearly now on this, so how did your profit model change? Because I'm previous to Clearly and previous to us, so we don't compete with Clearly. We figure we give people service, so we don't charge the same as Clearly does. Now, with regressing and going to this other model where you're competing with Clearly, your profit margin must have dropped.
Yep.
So your dollar sales may be higher, but your profit must have up. So are you at a break even now? Is it like, why
I mean,
should
we
I
still,
compete with Clearly? I guess that's the question.
I think that in my opinion, you're competing with Clearly regardless whether you like it or not. Because when you retail a shoppable product, it is shoppable. That's it. Like it doesn't matter. Like if you sell Prada, it's still Prada somewhere else, not just at your store, right? Of course, you have a service and loyalty, and I think that those are definitely things that independents lean on. But for any shoppable product, it's always going to be shopped. That's just like the reality of it. In my experience, so I actually think Clearly is really expensive. Um, like if you price the same as Clearly, you're probably making pretty good margins. I think that like definitely the low baller in our competition is Costco. But I think, you don't have to turn on uh the competitor pricing if you don't want, right? Like
Mhm.
that doesn't have to be shown to your patients. It's really optional. It's like more like if you want to compete, right? But if your patients are your patients and never buy anywhere else and all that stuff, I still think that they would benefit from getting like a personalized text message at the time they're running out of contacts so that they can click and with like 2 clicks reorder their contacts, right? It's more of a patient convenience, and also convenience for you and your team to process those orders. Not necessarily, it doesn't have to be like an e-commerce competition strategy.
Hmm. So I know that you guys are drawing from Clearly site on a like every day. I guess you go into there and extract the information. Can you put in a separate price to have customers compete or compare to online, but not really to Clearly?
So right now, Clearly is where it's pulling from, and
Mhm.
because it is the biggest online competitor,
Mhm.
it covers a nice range of patients, and it also captures a good average. So right now, there is no option for it to be custom entered. But that being said, I would say, shot in the dark guess, maybe 50% of our clients are doing the Clearly competitive, like they're trying to match Clearly, but the other 50% are not. So this is a great tool, like the competitor pricing is a great tool
Mhm.
if that is the avenue that you want to go down. But we still have a very significant number of clients who are doing that more traditional pricing model. And then those are the those are the clients who on the quote or the default message on the quote, they have a nice message in there about supporting local and supporting small business. And you hit on those things when you are sitting down and quoting the patient, and you can really solidify the value of that. So like we were saying before, Otto covers however you want to practice, but adopting Otto doesn't necessarily mean that you need to create a new pricing strategy or anything like that. Otto fits you as you are, gives you tons of opportunity for strategy as well.
Okay, thank you. I think Archie has his hands up, so.
Stand up.
Oh.
Yep. Go ahead, Archie.
Hey, on behalf of ETN, I want to thank everybody for to be on here. Alex, and Dylan, of course, Cassandra. But I was going to just mention about Clearly. For example, today I had a patient that was looking for AccuView Oasis Max, and they sell their lenses at $133 a box. And I'm not sure how much you sell it for, but that's not inexpensive. So if you'll be able to compete almost on most contact lenses against a company like Clearly, and even if people knew how much they charge, even if you're close to it or plus or minus 5% of it, they're not going to leave you because of it, because of the service that you provide for them. I was going to mention that, our organization, we love Otto because it's done so much for us. And maybe because of Cassandra, she's able to organize us much better. But one of the questions I do have to ask you is that with respect to the subscription model, have many of your practices gone to some patients like that? So they may want to automatically be shipped every 3 months or every 6 months of lenses?
So I will be honest with you. The subscription feature isn't one that is overly common. There definitely are patients who are using the subscription, but with Otto, because you are having those refill reminders coming to you exactly when you need it, there's not as much of that concern that patients want to make sure that that's coming in regularly. And then also if people aren't using them every day, then sometimes, instead of having it come in before they need it, they like to order directly when they get the refill reminder or when they're actually running out. So there definitely are patients, those ones that, you know, religiously order their 3-month supply over and over, that do appreciate the subscription. But because of the convenience that Otto offers, it's not as popular as you might think that it is.
So just to give you an idea, our big office has anywhere between $0 a month and $1,200 a month in subscription specific orders. So it definitely really ranges, like maybe, you know, like 10, that could maybe be like 10 patients kind of a thing. So 1,200 was in March of 2024, but in September, so far, like this September, we've actually already done, it looks like about 800. Oh, actually I can hover over $862 in subscription. So it's not like, it's not zero. Some people like it. I was going to say earlier that Archie has a great strategy of actually upfront telling his patients what Clearly's pricing is when they're in the chair. So he knows that we always beat Clearly. So he always has Clearly up on his screen. And when he's talking to the patient, he'll actually just blatantly say like, "Wait, this is our pricing. Okay, let's check Clearly." And then he'll check in and be like, "Oh yeah, look at our pricing." I'm like, "Okay, here you go. Outside and get the contacts." So it just builds a level of trust with the patient. I think a lot of people automatically assume that online is going to be more value, but it's not. All for, I think for the most part, most of us are really competitive with Clearly, right? So if we just take a second to tell our patients, hey, we are competitive, then that idea, that like preconceived benchmark is kind of changed around in their mind.
Yeah, well said.
And then you get your rebates on top of them, especially when it's a new wearer or you are a higher seller and you all of a sudden can offer an extra $200 off of an annual supply that the online retailers can't. And that's another reason why I love the quote feature, because patients are never going to assume that you guys are cheaper. They might know that you match pricing, but in no world are they going to assume that it's cheaper at a doctor's office. So with that quote, you prove that to them in a matter of seconds. And it just really takes away a lot of that indecision and them being sneaky and being like, "Oh, I'm not ready to order today, but thanks for my prescription," when we know exactly what they're doing. So yeah, Archie, that transparency is beautiful, and there's no wonder why it works. Very clever.
Integration to EMR. That's that can be a game changer to a lot of us. I mean, it'd be great for us to kind of go directly from our EMR and into Otto and make that transition. Also makes it much easier for us to kind of view or see what's happening without double entry. So that would be a big plus for all of us.
Definitely.
And I just want to say thank you to everybody in Otto, on the Otto team, for doing what they do for us.
Thank you so much for your kind words. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, it means a lot. It really does. We're trying to create impact and value here, and when we hear it directly from the clients, this is why we do it. This is what we're doing it for. So I really appreciate the feedback as well too. And again, appreciate everybody's time. Is there any final questions before we log off here? And like I say, I will follow up with an email tomorrow to everybody. I'll get you this recording, and then we'll give you the avenues and outlets to be able to, book demos or ask any further questions as they come up. Once, twice, sold. All right. Okay. Thanks, everyone.